everyone. Happy Trans Awareness Week. So happy you're here with us. This is an especially exciting time for Point of Pride. It is our 10-year anniversary, and that is really kicking off now, and it will go all the way into 2026. And honestly, we couldn't think of a better way to celebrate than spending this week together in community. I really don't have a lot to say, but I just have three quick things I want to say before we get started today. The first thing is that our trans health survey is about to close. So if you don't know what that is, then let me tell you. So you could visit www.transhealthsurvey.org to be a part of our we're like 95 people away from hitting our goal of 4,000 trans and gender diverse individuals that are lending their voice to help our community when it comes to safe access to healthcare. I will drop all of this in the chat when I'm done talking, and you'll know exactly where to go. The other thing that you should know is that our annual trans surgery fund is open now until November 30th. So if you or someone you know has barriers to accessing gender affirming care, like surgery, then please, go and apply. You can go to pointofpride.org. You can click the Get Support section, or again, I will drop the link in the chat very shortly. So, before we dive in, I have a few quick agreements for our participation today. The first one is to please keep this space kind, respectful, and encouraging of each other and our host. You are welcome to use the chat to share your thoughts and reflections throughout the session. And then thirdly, if you have any questions for Jay, please drop them into the Q&A. I will be keeping an eye on things both in the chat and the Q&A. So in case anyone needs anything, just go ahead and reach out to me there. We also have some more amazing programming happening all week long. So you can check out the full schedule on our blog. Again, link will be in the chat. And all in all, thank you again for being here and for celebrating Trans Awareness Week. Our webinar tonight is hosted by Jay. It is titled Financial Literacy for Trans Folks, Rewriting Our Money Narratives. Jay is going to guide us through exploring our money stories, unpacking capitalism's impact, and learning tools for building financial confidence. So, hey Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous, but good.
Oh, you're going to be fantastic. I am going to step away, but just so you know, Jay, I'm always here. Everyone in the chat, I'm here. And super quick, want to thank all of our ASL interpreters that are here today, helping reach more people who might need some financial help as well. Take it away, Jay.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna just start with a screen share before I blabber and get off topic. Um, so, um, Perfect. Okay. Like Aiden mentioned, my name is Jay. I serve as the operations and finance manager for Point of Pride. I've been with Point of Pride for just over a year now, maybe coming up on a year and a half. And I'm really, really excited for this session here today. I'll start with just an agenda so that we can kind of manage expectations because I think I want to make sure everyone knows that I'm not going to just dump a bunch of like numbers and like how-tos on you. I really want to talk about how we are thinking about money. It comes with a lot of anxiety, speaking from personal experience. Managing money, especially during the times that we're in, is hard. So, First, I'll run through our objectives. The next, we'll start by unpacking our money story, so looking at some of our key money memories. Then we'll briefly discuss how money is kind of changing socially. I think as humans, we are thinking about money way differently than we used to. And then we'll jump back into talking to money directly. There's always hope everyone has had a solid therapist that has told them to write a letter to somebody, and don't send it. So we're going to write a letter to money, and to help us work through our money narratives again. And then we'll jump into how to create a financial action plan. And then after that, we'll kind of just discuss next steps and closing remarks. I'll also be mindful of how fast I'm speaking and the time. So if anyone wants me to speak slower or anything like that, just make sure you drop it in the chat or poke Aiden or something so that I can slow down. Um, so as Aiden briefly mentioned, I have four key objectives. The first is to identify and rewrite our money narratives, also known as our money beliefs. The second is to acknowledge the changing climate of capitalism, and really just the state of the world and how that can impact how we are able to manage money, how we're able to make money, what we spend money on, what we don't want to spend money on. The third is we'll develop a mini financial action plan. I love financial action plans because you can do something really small, like opening a credit card, or you can do something really big, like purchasing a house. We're not going to talk about purchasing a house, but I want to give the basic outline of how to go about creating something like a financial action plan to reach your goals. And then the fourth is to learn a couple of tools to create and achieve these money goals. So again, like I said before, I'm not going to go too into the nitty gritty of, I'm not going to open up a spreadsheet, anything like that. We're not going to be doing any calculations, nothing like that. But really just the working on our mindset and what tools are readily available to us. So, with that, I am going to take a step back. I want to share a little bit more about myself, and then we'll also get into a grounding practice. So my background with money is it kind of started in college, I would say, when I needed to pick a major. I have undiagnosed dyslexia and ADHD, and I never fully felt comfortable with like words and things like that. So oddly enough, I geared towards numbers, and it just worked. It just works with my brain. And after college, I started to get into nonprofit work, where really I was, doing what I do now as a finance manager, operations and finance manager, but also helping organizations create better financial systems. Um, and as a result, in my friend groups, I've kind of because I have like this finance degree and finance experience, I've learned how like my own financial experience and my knowledge of, financial concepts can apply to our personal lives as well. Intertwined with that, I'm also a yoga teacher. And so mindfulness, breath work, somatic exercises, those are really important to me. And I can see the direct impact that they have on our ability to not only manage our finances, but, just general life challenges, how we're able to connect with ourselves, how we're able to connect with others. And so I want to take us through, I can't see any of you, but I want to take us through a couple of grounding practices to help us now prepare to just talk about money a little bit more, but hopefully in the future, provide this as a tool or a resource for you to manage any, anxieties or feelings that may come up when we're talking about money. So the first is called tapping. So what we'll do is, I'm going to take my glasses off for this. We'll start with taking a deep breath. You can close your eyes, relaxing our shoulders away from our ears, sitting comfortably, taking another deep breath in through our nose, and exhale out of the mouth, relaxing our shoulders away from the ears. And once we're settled, we'll gently start by tapping tops of our forehead with 2 fingers, just gently tapping, affirming, I am safe. I am open to learning new skills. Coming down to the sides of the eyes, so around the temple area. And underneath the eyes. And coming down under the nose, where upper lip, and down to the chin. And anywhere else that you might want to tap. Sometimes I tap my jaw, sometimes I tap my neck, or even down to the chest, whatever you prefer. And then once you feel a little settled there, we're going to do something that my mindset slash life coach, calls switching. Um, so you can stay seated for this. Put your left foot over the right, so it creates like kind of a little lock situation. And we'll bring our hands out, placing our right hand or our palms out, placing our right hand over the left, interlacing the fingers, bringing the hands towards the chest and the hands under and through. So now you'll notice that your left hand is on top of your right and your fingers are interlaced, and your left foot is over your right. Now here, we'll take a deep breath and close the eyes. Deep breath in, exhale, relaxing the shoulders away from the ear. Good. And we'll settle here for a moment. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Deep exhale through the mouth. Good. Inhale through the nose, and at the top of the breath, hold the breath for as long as it feels comfortable. And once you feel complete, gently exhale and release your fingers. You can lock your feet. So those are two methods called tapping and switching. Um, okay, here's where I would say, is everybody ready to go? But no, I can't see anybody. This is so weird to me. um, perfect. So in the chat, let's see. Aiden has dropped, I think, a worksheet. I forget if I dropped it or you dropped it, but let me just drop it again. Oh, perfect. Okay, so Aiden has dropped a worksheet that everyone should have access to. Um, this worksheet can be obviously used after this workshop, but this is what we'll be working through. So the part one is reviewing and identifying our money stories or our money beliefs. What I want to do right now is I want everybody to think of a saying that they grew up hearing. So for me, I grew up hearing like money doesn't money doesn't come from trees. Um, do you have McDonald's money? Was a common one. If we wanted McDonald's, or like, do you have McDonald's money? And then another one was money is the root of all evil, right? I was talking to my mom a while ago, and she was like, I was talking about money or maybe wanting a raise or something like that, and she's like, money's the root of all evil. But lo and behold, a couple months later, she's like, oh, I got a new job and I got this new salary bump. And I was like, what? I thought money was the root of all evil. So, if anybody has like, money doesn't have treason, what I grew, yeah, yeah. So if anybody has like any others that they grew up hearing, I'd be very interested to know if there's any new ones that I haven't heard. Um, but yeah, so what we'll do in this exercise, you'll see in the worksheet that you have a column for money memories, and you have a column for emotions and sensations in the body. Okay. And then on that next page, the third page, you have the feelings wheel. Okay. So what I want us to do for about maybe 3 to 5 minutes, 3 minutes to start, is write down 1 to 3 key money memories. You don't have to do it in this worksheet. You can just do it on a piece of paper, or you can just sit and think about it. 1 to 3 key money memories. Okay, this might be your first job. Maybe it's like your first big purchase, maybe like your first car. Maybe it was like the first time you noticed you were going to be short on a bill, right? What 1 to 3 key money memories? And while you're thinking about these money memories, think about the emotions and the sensations that come up in your body as you're thinking about these memories. For example, for me, I remember my first job clear as day. I was wearing my high school graduation um, outfit. Okay. It was at the amusement park. My mom took me. It was, the classic summer job. So, and it was a really happy memory for me. So it can be happy, sad, neutral, and whatever it comes up. So I have a mental timer where I'll let everyone write and then I'll call us back. So whenever you're ready, go ahead. About 60 more seconds, so maybe just wrap up that last money memory. Okay. If anyone has, I saw only saw one in the chat, but if anyone has like any other money sayings that come up throughout this session, please drop it in the chat because I'm actually very curious. um, so now that we've started to identify our money narratives and where they come from, I think it's important to paint a picture, right? Because I saw something recently where someone was saying you can't budget your way out of poverty. Okay. A lot of folks will say, if you're struggling with, money, you're making ends meet, you just have to make more money, right? Just make more money. But within the different intersections of folks, right? If you're not of a certain privilege, it's actually very hard to make money and to make more of it. So I brought up some key statistics from uh, over the past, I think it's like I think the research was from like within the past 5 years. So um, 22% of LGBTQ plus adults are living in poverty, and that is compared to 16% of non-LGBTQ plus adults. LGBTQ plus folks make only 90 cents for every dollar on the dollar. So there's also a wage gap. We've seen recently discussions about wage gaps between cis men and cis women, but when it comes to the LGBTQ community, we also face wage gaps and wage discrepancies. 36% of LGBTQ plus folks have experienced workplace discrimination, right? We're hearing a little bit more about this, just as far as like, and it's also been kind of well known, right? I think a lot of us can think of times where like it's been hard to find a workplace where you feel safe, right? Which leads to maybe not being able to build a stable career, right? So the traditional way to make more money has been to, you stay at a job for X amount of years, you get your cost of living adjustment, your merit increases, right? And then you build your way up to a certain salary. But if you're constantly faced with workplace discrimination or you're just predisposed to it, and it's not easy to be in a safe environment, it's a lot harder to build equity or build wealth, right? The last little quick fact that I have is 49% of reported employer policies, and this is from the Human Rights Campaign, if you want to learn more about it, but covered new parents of all genders equally. So this means a lot of benefit packages consider, they say maternity leave, right? But they don't necessarily or paid maternity leave specifically, unpaid and unpaid, or paid and unpaid, right? So they'll say we cover paid maternity leave, but we don't cover paternal leave, right? So if both partners need to stay home, or however many partners need to stay home, that benefit isn't necessarily covered, or it might not be covered. So I wanted to highlight these facts because it's important to consider when we're looking at our money narratives, right? We're doing internal reflections. It's important to know that the system was never set up for us, right? Um, but also not necessarily to understand why things are actually really hard, right? Sometimes we can gaslight ourselves into thinking like, oh, I'm just not working hard enough, or I don't deserve rest, right? When in reality, like we're doing a lot more. We're doing a lot more than it looks like. Okay, so I wanted to share those facts so that we're not too hard on ourselves as we're going into this journey. And I actually want to pause to look at the chat and see. Okay. Okay. I didn't know if I'm so curious to see what the other money sayings people grew up hearing. Okay. So transitioning into our thoughts as a collective about money. Meaning when I say collective, I mean, as a human race, within our communities, right? The way that our communities think about money and the society thinks about money also impacts how we're able to show up. Hence why, the system is not necessarily built for us. And why there's the theories of there's like what's the economics freeloaders, right? There's the economic theory of freeloaders. The current economic system, people think that mutual aid or people helping each other is people being freeloaders, when that's not how we're naturally designed. So um, I wanted to highlight that as a society, our thoughts about money are shifting. Okay. In the chat, let's see. If in the chat, I want to hear, I was going to say like raise your hand, but I'm curious to know if anybody in the chat, if somebody or people, just share your thoughts on capitalism, right? As a word, share your thoughts on capitalism. Curious to know if anybody has like in the past, like maybe year or something said, I hate money. I'm so sick of thinking about money. Why do I have to pay for food? Why do I have to pay for housing? Um, I'm curious to know other folks' thoughts on that. In addition, I'm curious to know how many, if any, mutual aid groups anyone is a part of. So this can be, and to be a part of a mutual aid group, you don't have to be providing anything to the group. You can be a beneficiary of the mutual aid. Maybe, for example, you recently applied for some mutual aid benefit and you were awarded it, or maybe it's something as simple as like a community garden where every Saturday you get free veggies when everything is in season. Or you organize a mutual aid group or you lead a mutual aid group. I'm curious to know on both ends of the spectrum where people are landing. Let's see what folks are saying. Capitalism is traumatic. People can unmute. I'm also interested in that. Um, Someone says capitalism thrives off of pitting the classes against each other. We aren't supposed to thrive in it. Exactly. Um, Ray is a part of a bunch of mutual aid groups right now, organizing and receiving. Happy to be a part of it. Yes, if anyone wants to unmute, please let Aiden know. I would love to hear someone else's voice other than my own. Um, so as a collective, we're seeing that yeah, we're seeing that folks are realizing how it's just it's just too much. Okay, it's too much at this point. This thoughts, feelings, and action model, it's a cognitive behavioral therapy model that acknowledges that our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings then motivate our actions, and then our actions motivate so it's this continuous cycle. Okay. Um, this works, this works on a big scale as a community. Our thoughts as a community drive our feelings. Like sometimes if we're thinking like, oh, capitalism sucks, our feelings are, we feel enraged, we feel so maybe hopeless, maybe helpless, right? But let's just take that like enraged feeling, right? We're enraged, we're pissed off. Okay, it's going to drive our actions. So maybe our actions are to, you know what, I hate capitalism so much, I'm going to create a mutual aid group just to help each other. Okay. Or it drives other actions, right? And then the more you feed that, the bigger your mutual aid group gets, right? More people are tapping into your frequency, you say. But this also works, excuse me, on a smaller scale as individuals. Okay. When we think about our personal finances and our personal money narratives, right, it's important that we take responsibility for our thoughts and how our thoughts impact our individual lives and our individual bank accounts. Okay. So even though we might be reluctantly participating in capitalism, um, it's still okay to have financial goals, and it's still okay to want financial stability, even though in theory, like it'd be great if, we could all just be on an island somewhere and grow our own fruits and stuff. So I'm gonna head back to the chat and let's see what folks are saying. Money is an energy. The system of capitalism definitely is frustrating, and like everyone is saying, not built for us. Burnout is huge. Hard to not feel lazy when I can't work a full-time job and take care of. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And you're not lazy. I'll say that. I know it's hard not to feel that, but you're not. I just want to say that out loud. I agree with that. Yeah, perfect. I love this chat. Keep that going. So where are we at on time? 4:30. Okay. Actually, before we go into the next one, I want to just take a pause, take a deep breath. Mainly because I was just talking a lot, but um, I want to take about 60 seconds to just breathe. like I said, mainly for me, but also just to wrap up our final thoughts about like what maybe has come up since we introduced our money narratives, our money beliefs. Now the chat is going a little bit and we're talking about our views on capitalism, mutual aid. Um, and now we're kind of thinking about, okay, what are our thoughts? What are our feelings? And how do these motivate our actions? So everyone just take a couple of deep breaths, feel where you're at physically, if you're feeling a little anxious, what's coming up for you. Maybe write those things down. Okay, phase two. So in phase one, we talked about, we started to think about kind of the seeds of our money beliefs, right? By identifying some of our key money memories. Okay. And then we got into the little bit of a discussion about like, hey, this system is kind of jacked up, okay? And it doesn't really feel great to have to be in it. And we so now we're just gonna go straight to the source. We're just gonna talk to money itself, okay? Like I said before, I've had therapists where they're like, do the whole letter writing thing. I don't know how many folks out there have had a therapist where they say write a letter to someone. Sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's like actually helpful. But my goal in this case is to personify money because it feels like it's in control of our lives, like it dictates everything. If we walk out of the house, more than likely we're going to spend money um, in some way, shape, or form. So we'll take the next 3 to 5 minutes. I'm just going to say three again. 3 minutes to write a letter to money as if it were a real person. So we're going to say, or briefly describe how you feel about said money. Make sure you address money by its pronouns. Give it some pronouns. Like, I want you to bring money alive. Give it some character, okay? Um, Tell money how it makes you feel. And identify, like, tell it what type of relationship you would like to have. And when you tell it what type of relationship you would like to have, and you express this, um, even though it's like a weird role play thing, be genuine with it. Okay, so maybe that's like, hey, money, I have really struggled to feel close to you. It feels like you're always going. I'd never really feel secure. I want to create a relationship with you where I have better expectations and management skills to keep more of you around for longer and to spend you for enjoyment rather than just obligations. And then after you wrap up your letter, end it with an affirmation. So I've included a couple on this slide. So I am capable of learning new skills. Okay, money management is a skill that can be learned, and it is a muscle that has to be worked to build the muscle. I am surrounded by opportunities to increase my financial wellness. Okay, I am worthy of financial stability. I am grateful for the abundance in my life. Those are just some examples. So yes, 3 minutes, write this letter to money. This is on page 5 of the handout. Um, yes, and I'm gonna mute and then unmute after 3 minutes. So About 60 more seconds, maybe 90. Just wrap up your thoughts. You can always revisit it later. Okay. To be honest, I wasn't really counting to 60. But it's for the sake of time, I don't want to run over, and I want to respect everyone's time. I'm gonna keep us moving forward. And like I said, I'm hoping that the worksheet does provide a little bit more structure and just more depth so that you're able to do these exercises again or with other people. I know I like to body double, so this is something that you can take to bring to your friends and you guys can do it together, or you can, doesn't have to all be right now. So I want to get into creating a financial action plan. Um, I think I mentioned this earlier, but to me, a financial action plan is a set of steps that I can follow to achieve a goal related to my finances. So the first step, and I think a lot of people do things differently. Time out. I don't think I said this at the beginning. I am not a financial advisor, okay? I think somebody mentioned about like how on social media there are so many resources, there's so many people able to say what they are, there's so many people giving out financial advice. Um, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm so I can't like I won't advise you on investments. I don't advise you on wealth management or retirement savings, stuff like that. There that stuff is very like particular. I'm more of like mindset and basic skills. That being said, I can advise you on one thing. Do not go and try to get that 50-year mortgage thing. That may or may, hope, I don't think it's legal, but yes, I wanted to clarify that. And make sure you don't have to follow anyone's advice if it just literally does not make sense. Trust your intuition. So, creating a financial action plan. The first step is identifying your goal. Um, a lot of people switch this and they say they want to assess their financial situation first, but that feels overwhelming to me personally. So I like to identify my goal. Okay. Maybe that is, I'm just going to use a credit card. Maybe my goal is I want to open a credit card. I have not had a credit card because I feel so much anxiety about holding that type of responsibility, that liability. So identify your goal, start with something small, specific, and time bound. Okay, so my goal would be I want to open a credit card by my 30th birthday. My 30th birthday is in May. So I have just over 6, 7 months to open this credit card. Your second step is going to be to assess your financial situation. Okay. Now that I know I want to open a credit card, um, I need to look at my income and expenses. Okay, so this is where we're getting into the nitty gritty. I use Rocket Money so I can see all of my transactions that are coming in and out. And if you do a little bit of work in the beginning to, create specific categories and have it auto categorize like recurring bills, That's a very easy way to like have a dashboard monthly or weekly or however frequently you want to look at it to see your financial situation. Um, so when we're assessing our financial situation, we're looking for a couple of things. When it comes to our expenses, we're looking at our fixed and variable expenses. Okay. Fixed expense is, things that don't change. So your car note or your car insurance, maybe your car insurance changes every 6 months if you're an insurance hopper. Um, or your rent, right? Your rent won't change for that lease term at least. Okay, so those are like fixed expenses, things that aren't going to change month to month. Variable means it depends on what you're up to, right? So variable expenses can include utilities, right? So if you're using a bunch of water or electricity that month, it's going to be higher. Groceries, which is odd because it's like you could probably buy the same thing of groceries and then like a year ago it was like different. So anyways, so groceries, how much food are you going to buy each month? And that changes how much you're spending month to month. Um, Trying to think of just one more quick example, groceries, entertainment, right? Maybe you have a, a lot of people are getting married over the summer and um, you have to be at all of them, right? So yeah, looking at your fixed and variable expenses is really important. And then also looking at your income, right? I have a lot of friends who are artists and their income varies month to month, whether or not they're able to book shows or sell paintings or sell, their artwork. So looking at your income, whether it's very or fixed or variable, is also an important step here. The third step is to gather your resources. So after you've looked at your financial situation, you might say, um, you know what, like I'm maybe spending too much money on entertainment, right? So uh that's like a easy step. But the point here for step three is to look at what resources you need to reach your goal. Okay, so for me, I'm saying my goal is to open a credit card by my 30th birthday, which is in May. Um, for me, my resource that I would need is education. Maybe I have no idea where to start with looking for a credit card. Okay, so that's the resource that I need. What resources do I already have? Well, I do have a computer, so that's good. I have the internet, that's good. Those are good starts. Maybe I have a friend like me, because I, sorry, a lot of my friends might ask me about something like this. Okay, so maybe you have somebody in your life that has the resource that you need access to, or maybe it's like, somebody that you really trust on social media. The fourth step is to create those action steps, to lay it all out in detail. So for me, I'm opening a credit card. So that first step is going to be, okay, so I've assessed my financial situation. I know what resources I need. I'm going to set aside time to research credit cards. I'm actually going to switch to the next slide because I have it on there. So if I'm going to open a credit card, I have it here end of 2026, but ignore that. So the steps I'm going to take include identifying the purpose for opening a card. Okay, let's say for me, I want more travel points. Okay, I want to travel. Um, so now that I know that I can research credit cards based on the benefits and the functionality. So maybe, I want to look at it like a Southwest credit card or United Airlines credit card because those would give me the points that I would want because I want to travel. Um, that's one of the main reasons. Um, and then I'm also going to look at any, annual fees associated with options. Some of these credit cards, they're really good at making it seem like, oh my gosh, you get all these bonus points at the beginning and all is all so great. But then they sneak in that $95 annual fee, and it's like, what is, so acknowledging the annual fees and then weigh it with the cost and benefits, because sometimes the annual fee is worth it. And then you just review the point benefits, like it's just weigh your costs and benefits. These are some examples of the action steps that you would take, or how to really think about each step that it would take to get to your goal, um, very specifically. And even writing down the things that, like, of course make sense, of course you would do, right? Um, okay, we got about 10 minutes. Let me see. So let me go back to this slide in case anybody's still reading it. This slide is not in the Money Narratives worksheet. But if anybody like really needs it or wants it, maybe now's a good time to take a screenshot. Um, this is also phase 3 in the worksheet. So I have it in there where, you're identifying your focus area, your goal, where you now define your goal. Um, so we won't have time to like actually create one, and I really wanted to, but that's just not how the world works. So um, I'm gonna go to the next slide. Okay, so where we're at now is, I know I rushed through that creating your financial action plan really quickly, so let me make sure no one has questions. I can't see the question feature. Download PDF here. Okay. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay. So some key money management tools. Budgeting. I don't know if it's necessarily a tool, but budgeting, it might also, budgeting is a cringy word sometimes, but budgeting is simply clarifying your priorities and identifying your fixed and variable expenses and income, right? And how those fit with one another. The relationship between your priorities and your spending habits. That's budgeting. I'll say it again. Budgeting is the relationship between your priorities and your spending habits. Okay. Mutual aid is a money management tool. Okay. If you need to cut back on expenses and you have a community garden that is giving vegetables for free, right? This is a great way that we can take care of each other. And you're not a freeloader. I don't think there's much, I don't like the whole freeloader thing. Okay, mutual aid is there to help each other. It's important. Um, financial coaching. Financial coaching is, it can be expensive, but I think there are a lot of creative ways, if you need to work with a money coach. Um, and the main point of a money coach and why it's an important money management skill is for accountability, right? Accountability and a kind of a library of resources. So you're not overwhelmed with like what's on the internet and things like that. You can have a money coach just provide you with the tools if you need. Um, technology. Okay, I mentioned I use Rocket Money. There's also Fidelity, Mint, or you need a budget. I only have experience working with, well, I have experience working with Rocket Money and Fidelity. Both of those are really pretty decent, and user friendly and affordable um, budgeting apps that help track your spending habits and automate things. Another one is, I think it's a tool, which is mindful spending, right? Being mindful is a muscle that you have to build. Okay. I sometimes like to impulsively spend. Um, I went and got myself like a sweet treat app so that after this, like I can enjoy my sweet treat and congratulate myself. But being mindful of like when you're spending. So even if that's just pausing, taking a breath before you spend. So before I got that cinnamon roll, I paused and I said, is this in the budget? Not necessarily, but it's important to me, so I'm going to put it in the budget, right? Pausing before spending and spending and budgeting with intention is a very important money management tool and skill set. The last one that I want to list is like our environment. Who we're surrounding ourselves with is really going to dictate how we view ourselves, whether we view ourselves as capable or whether we view ourselves as like kind of running behind or, not behind or behind. Yeah. Um, when I went to graduate school, I went to graduate school because all of my friends had gone to graduate school and I felt like I was like missing out on something. I felt like I wasn't good enough, right? So surround yourself with financial educators, social media. I was gonna say influencers, but I almost threw up when I said it. But surround yourself with people who are in alignment with your values and goals, and that you either trust or you can build trust with them. Let's see, we have 5 minutes left. I'm gonna say it now, but if there are any questions, now would be a great time to ask them. If there are any comments, anything you want to clarify, um, now is a great time to ask them. Okay. Um, so next steps. Once you create a financial action plan, it's really important to visualize what each step of the action plan looks like. So you can read out loud each step and take a moment to um, visualize what that looks like. So, maybe it's, well, I'm just going to keep the same example. So for me, I'm opening a credit card by my 30th birthday, right? So I'm going to visualize sitting down with a friend because I like to body double, looking at my credit card options. I'm going to visualize what it feels like to know, like, oh, this is the right card for me. I'm going to visualize what it feels like to be capable of not overspending on the credit card. Going to visualize what it feels like to pay the card monthly so that I don't build interest or accumulate interest and have to pay the interest. um, Coming to this workshop was an act of self-care. Okay, financial literacy, financial hygiene, you could call it, is a form of self-care. So as you build your habits, whether that's sitting and looking at your budget each month, looking at your numbers each month, make sure that it feels like you're looking at make sure it feels like self-care. So make yourself a nice cup of tea, or, go to your favorite park. Okay, make sure you're surrounded by things that aren't like super cringe, surround yourself by things that don't make you feel like, oh wow, I'm participating in capitalism and everything's on fire. um, Identify who will help hold you accountable. Okay, so I'm not saying go out and get a money coach. You don't have to do that. Okay, this can be as simple as having, like I said, a body double, or maybe you just tell somebody about your goal and you just ask them if you can check in every now and then. But identify who will help hold you accountable. And then the last one that I have is to utilize affirmations and find a grounding practice that works for you. Okay, it may not be switching, it may not be tapping, although those have helped me a lot. Maybe it's just a nice walk, maybe it's a bike ride. Okay, find a grounding practice to help you build your capacity to manage your finances. As your goals get bigger, the emotions might get bigger, the feelings might get bigger that come with making bigger financial decisions. But when we start smaller and we build those good habits, our nervous system and our mind, our body will all fall in line. It may not be like super easy, right? But it'll be, um, you have those resources and that self-care to be able to navigate through certain financial decisions, and financial events, right? Because life happens. So with that, wow, I'm in Arizona, so it's like 4:59. That was really impressive. I'm gonna say again, I'm opening up to, could you recommend us any financial educators from our community, specifically trans women? Okay. I don't know any off the top of my head. I do have a couple of resources in the worksheet that I have, um, but they're not trans women specifically. Um, but they are QT BIPOC. Maybe not one. But anyways, sorry, the short answer is no. But I can work on finding that and then I can include it like in the blog that I'll do for this session. Let me also end this thing in this screen share. Um, where can you find me? You can't find me. No, I don't have like a specific page dedicated to like financials or anything like that. I'm kind of like a money coach within my smaller community. But yeah, so, but I mean, I work for Point of Pride, so you know where to find me there. Yeah, for that wraps things up for me. Yeah, I think I'll pass it back to you, Aiden. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, I wish I could see everybody. This is so awkward for me. I feel like an 80-year-old man. I'm like, what is going on here? But yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, Jay. Sorry, just the best way to host webinars, but maybe in the future we will keep it open and people can put their cameras on if they'd like. But all in all, huge thank you to you, Jay. Thanks for, just leading an insightful and really thoughtful, intentional session, showing up with all of your openness. It's really helpful. So, for everybody who's here, if you did enjoy the session and you'd like to make a donation to the work that we do here at Point of Pride, I'm dropping all of those. I just had them. I'm dropping all of those links back into the chat. Let's do this. Nope, it's not working. I will drop all of these links back into the chat. Copy, paste. There we go. And just another reminder that this recording, along with all of our Trans Awareness Week webinars, they'll be available soon on our YouTube channel, again in the chat. If you have any questions or you want to connect, you can always email me, aiden@pointofpride.org. If you have a question for Jay, you can always email me and I will send that, forward that along to Jay. But all in all, thanks again for being here. I really appreciate you all, and we will see you next week. Well, next session, which is technically tomorrow, but also next week. Thanks, everyone.